On a school trip, secondary school senior Peter Parker visits a Columbia University genetics laboratory with his companion Harry Osborn and his crush Mary Jane Watson. There, a genetically engineered super spider bites him and he becomes sick. After getting back home. In the meantime, Harry's dad Norman Osborn, a scientist and the pioneer and proprietor of Oscorp, attempts to get a secure military agreement. He experiments himself with an unstable performance-enhancing substance and goes crazy, killing his collaborator. The next day, Peter finds he is no longer nearsighted and has developed spider-like abilities. He can likewise shoot webs out of his wrists and has quick reflexes, superhuman speed and strength, and an increased capacity to detect risk. Getting over his Uncle Ben's advice that with great power comes great responsibility, Peter considers dazzling Mary Jane with a vehicle. He takes part in an underground wrestling event to win the money for it and wins his first match, but the promoter cheats him out of his earnings. At the point when a thief robs the promoter's office, Peter permits him to get away in retaliation. Moments later, he finds Ben was carjacked and killed by a burglar with a handgun. Peter seeks after the carjacker, just to realize it was the burglar he let escape. The carjacker escapes, however dies after dropping through a window. In the meantime, a crazed Norman interrupts a military experiment by Oscorp's corporate opponent Quest Aerospace and kills a few group. After graduating, Peter starts utilizing his capacities to fight injustice, wearing a spandex outfit and the persona of Spider-Man. J. Jonah Jameson, distributor of the Daily Bugle paper, recruits Peter as a freelance photographer, since he is the main individual giving clear pictures of Spider-Man. Norman, after finding Oscorp's board, intends to remove him in order to sell the company to Quest, kills them. Jameson names the mysterious killer the Green Goblin. The Goblin offers Spider-Man a place next to him, yet Peter rejects. They battle and Peter is injured. At Thanksgiving supper, Peter's Aunt May welcomes Mary Jane, Harry, and Norman. During the supper, Norman sees the injury and realizes Peter's identity. Figuring the best way to overcome Peter is to attack those special to him, Norman later attacks May, forcing her to be hospitalized. Harry, who is dating Mary Jane, sees her holding Peter's hand to comfort him and assumes she cares deeply about him. Devastated, Harry lets his dad know that Peter loves Mary Jane, unconsciously uncovering Spider-Man's greatest weakness. Norman holds Mary Jane and a Roosevelt Island tram vehicle loaded with youngsters hostage close by the Queensboro Bridge. He forces Peter to pick whom he needs to save and drops them both. Peter saves both Mary Jane and the tram car. Norman then, at that point, throws him into an abandoned building and brutally beats him. At the point when the Goblin says how he means to kill Mary Jane, Peter regains his strength and gains the upper hand. Norman uncovers himself to Peter and asks for pardoning while quietly preparing his glider to attack Peter from behind. Warned by his spidey sense, Peter avoids the attack and the glider impales Norman instead. Norman tells Peter not to uncover his identity as the Goblin to Harry before dying. Peter returns Norman's body to the Osborn house just as Harry walks in and, believing Spider-Man to have killed his dad, pulls a gun on him, but he escapes. At Norman's funeral, Harry swears vengeance towards Spider-Man, whom he considers answerable for his dad's death. Mary Jane admits to Peter that she is in love with him. Peter, in any case, feels he should safeguard her from the undesirable consideration of his enemies, so he conceals his actual feelings and tells Mary Jane that they must be companions. As Peter leaves, he recalls Ben's words and accepts his new responsibility as Spider-Man.